Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Maybe not. You see none other than A.D. Drew and Wilton Jackson II. As A.D. Drew is jamming a little bit with the head nod to the intro. It makes you get to it.
It makes you wanna
Bop your head.
bop your head.
Nothing wrong with that. I got to tell Cavil, he'd be happy to hear it. He hit one with that one. I tell him he hit it at the park. With that being said, welcome everybody to episode 597, the week of the Celebration Bowl. Usually this is a week where we get to lead up and find a way to talk a lot of things. We get a full week to celebrate. Oftentimes the mid-major champion as we kind of line stuff out like that. We will do that. Week we'll give our final poll of the mid-major division. But we will also get a chance to talk a little bit about this matchup on Saturday. We'll go deep inside that and get these expertise, two gentlemen, to use their expertise to show how to provide us some in-depth knowledge of what they think is going to take place on Saturday. With that being said, officially welcome to episode 597 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering a sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports. For institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture and HBCU athletics aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. Short, we call it just HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host today is Mike Washington and Charles Bishop are out on assignment as they're preparing to make sure they get everything down there to Atlanta. I'll be in there, not necessarily early, usually get in on Wednesday. I have as the dean in terms of graduation ceremony on Friday. So I'm taking off right after that, and I will be in there Friday evening. So I have none other than co-hosts, the professors Drew and Jackson II. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, Wilton Jackson II, how are you doing today?
I am doing good, Doc. It's like I said, I feel like football season went by too fast. We got to keep Charles in our prayers. Make sure he all right for this week.
Yeah,
after that big win.
Grab one too many of them champagne bottles. That's like, man, them for the coaches. I'm finna get me one of these. My fault. Tell me less. Say less.
No, but it's a good week. I mean, Celebration Bowl week. We have a lot to talk about. We'll get the matchup that I think most people wanted to see throughout the middle of the season, Jackson State, South Carolina State. So it's an exciting time for Black college football.
Yeah, particularly after that formal matchup between Central and South Carolina State. They edged them out. Yeah. And then you got that matchup to kind of finalize things with Alabama State and Jackson State. You got the early version this year, right? FAMU and Jackson State, that kind of put the edge in there, but it was a little finished business to need to take care of. And Jackson, just like Jackson State, I should say, just like South Carolina State, ultimately took care of business to perfection. Both of them have no losses in conference play. So that's fascinating to say. With that being said, let me go to AD. Drew, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. I wonder, wow, Mike may be getting prepared for this Saturday. I'm really wondering if Charles still has that hangover from Saturday, and I don't mean from the W. Everybody, I don't mean from the W. Cigars and alcohol sometimes don't go quite together if you get a little bit of too much. That's all I'm gonna say. Victory cigars and champagne, and just partying and dancing. Doc, I think Charles was dancing like he just got off like he just came across when he first went across with A5A. I don't know, man.
Right. I did see him hit a couple of steps there, so I don't know what that was about. I'm just saying, y'all do it a little different in Jackson. But I will say this again, as I said on Sunday, man, I had a marvelous time. The folks, thanks to all of them in Jackson, Mississippi, Jacksonians, Jackson State, alum, fans, those just in the city, they take care of you, boy, when you come to town. I want for nothing, and they make sure that I feel first class, and I certainly appreciate that. So I did want to give them a shout out to all the lab listeners. We want to give you love. Again, football season is literally closing. We got 1 week left. We got the official out of the bands on Friday. That'll be interesting. Matchup, major and mid as that's going. But yes, we'll get into that. With that being said, let me go back to you, Wilton, if you would. What's the news of the day on your?
So we got a lot of news. I'll start off with this, though. The SWAC set to host the 2024 Hall of Fame ceremony. That ceremony is going to be held on this Friday, December 13th. The enshrinement ceremony is slated to begin at 7 p.m. Eastern Time at the Omni Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia. The newest members of the SWAC Hall of Fame were chosen from a list of nominees who were submitted by their respective institutions and selected by the SWAC Hall of Fame Selection Committee. The 2024 Hall of Fame honorees include Alcorn State's Fred McNair, Grambling State's Hillary Matthew Bozier, Southern's Pete Richardson, Arkansas Pine Bluffs Earl Goldman, and Charlie Neal as a contributor.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Fascinating. With that being said, 80 Drew, what news of the day do you have?
Wilton, I see your SWAC Hall of Fame inductee class, and I raise you the MEAC Hall of Fame inductees. Let's quickly go through Patricia Cage Bibbs from A&T and from Hampton. She coached at Hampton from 97 to 04 and helped establish the Lady Pirates as a powerhouse in the MEAC. 127 and 83 bark. During that time, she also coached at A&T from 05 to 12, where she won an additional 3 MEAC championships. By the way, those MEAC championships with Hampton, 98, 99, 03, and 04 with tournament titles in 2000, 03, and 04. And I'm gonna save that one. Rashida Suber from Coppin State, women's basketball from 2004 to 2008. She helped Coppin State to Dr. Cavil 64 and 6 in MEAC play in her 4 years at Coppin State, including undefeated conference record sophomore and junior year. That would be 41 straight for those of you all who are counting. Tariq Cohen played at A&T. I think he may have went on and did something post A&T. Somebody help me out with that. Something with NFL or something like that. Had a great career, but at A&T from 13 to 16, he was a star running back. Holds the MEAC record for 5,619 yards on 868 carries, 59 touchdowns, including 56 of them on the ground. And we know the Celebration Bowl run that he helped A&T start. Harvey Reed, standout running back from the Bison from 84 to 87, helped Bison to that 87 MEAC championship title. He was also drafted by, ironically, the Chicago Bears in 1988. But I'm saving the best for last, Dr. Cavil. Didn't take this man long after his retirement to get in. That would be one Oliver Buddy Pugh of South Carolina State. The legend retired last year after his 23 season, 151 and 93, including 115 and 44 in the MEAC, by the way. That's South Carolina State's record holder in both of those categories. And ironically, a Celebration Bowl victory over one of the participants in this Saturday Celebration Bowl, that being Jackson State. But Pugh had 2 Black College National championships and 8 MEAC titles.
Good points. Good points. Let me go into this MEAC to present 2025 Football Offensive Defensive Player of the Year in Las Vegas, and it's officially announced now in terms of those Defensive Players of the Year. Big time matchup when you talk about that was on Tuesday early today. That was the 66th annual NFF Annual Awards Dinner, if you would, from Las Vegas. It was at the Bellagio Hotel Casino in Las Vegas. First class. How they doing it over there? I see them in those parts. Pretty big deal. Like to see the MEAC getting it done. MEAC Commissioner Sonny Stills will make that announcement officially for everybody to see in terms of what that looks like. I thought that was a pretty big deal. The names in terms of Player of the Year, defensive side of the ball, it was Elijah Williams, which probably doesn't surprise anybody. On offense, it was Eric Phoenix, which also didn't surprise anybody. Eric Phoenix will be playing in the Celebration Bowl. A likely winner of this game in most people's poll rankings will be national champion. Obviously, the celebration itself, bowl itself, recognizes the winner of that game as the champion. I think it's pretty obvious, though, with the record of what these two teams is, that they're the best 2 teams out there at the major division level. Here, we like to separate the 2. And even if you put them together, a lot of people would still have one of these 2 teams at the top of the poll. Last week, as we released the second to the final poll, we had Jackson State as number 1, and you had South Carolina State as number 2. So fascinating when you talk about the congratulations to those 2 young men in terms of what they were able to get done. You also have some of the other finalists for scholar athletes, which is a big deal with all these folks that are not only able to get it done on the football field, but also able to get it off the field. Let's take a moment. Let me go back to you, Wilton, and see what else you want to recognize this week. What kind of has your interest in terms of the HBCU sports scene?
So, Dr. Cavil, you were, talking about Eric Phoenix, and Eric Phoenix was selected for another award. He was selected for the 2024 HBCU Plus National Player of the Year. This was an inaugural HBCU National Player of the Year award, part of the FCS partnership with Stats Perform and Urban Edge Network. Eric Phoenix of South Carolina State was selected from 10 finalists, encompassing the 21 historically Black colleges and universities in FCS college football. The 6'3", 210-pound graduate student was selected by an 8-voter panel from 10 finalists. Among those 10 finalists were Jackson State running back Irv Mulligan, who finished 2nd, and North Carolina Central running back Jamari Taylor, who finished 3rd in the voting. Phoenix will be honored at the Stats Perform FCS National Awards Banquet on January 4th in Frisco, Texas.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. 80 Drew, going to you. What other news did you want to put on the table for today? Mute.
All right, there we go. Sorry about that. I just want to put out that I went to the Virginia Union Valdosta State game on this past Saturday. Good hospitality down there at Valdosta State. They do it right down there for a non-HBCU institution. They treat me right every time I go down there. But guys, I'm here to tell you, I think I saw the Division II national champions play this past Saturday. Valdosta State was that good. Union, as good as Union was, they just did not have the talent and everything else to compete with their team, and it's going to be tough to see anybody else on that division compete with that particular team. So, and the only reason I want to bring that up is obviously HBCU alum Tremaine Jackson of Tennessee State, Texas Southern, wrong TSU. I'm sorry, I apologize, Doctor. Of Texas,
They gonna come for you.
yeah, is coaching that game, but the historic of two black coaches coaching in a regional championship. I think that story was undersold by the media who were there, and everybody else when they were talking about that game, pregame, during the game, and postgame. I really think that was undersold as a deep underlying story. And not only do we have two black coaches, but two HBCU alums in that particular ball game. The significance of that, I think, it just went under the radar, Dr. Cavil. So I just wanted to bring that out to everybody.
I'm so glad that you did that. That certainly needs to be recognized. That's history in itself. When you talk about that, you were out front during the regional matchup when you had the 7 teams in there. You were talking about there were 4 African-American black coaches in that division. When you're talking about getting to the semifinals, if there's such a thing, of the regional finals, right? There were 3 in that matchup. And as you said, when you get to the finals, you have 2. So that's huge for that entire bracket. And now you have one of the coaches obviously going into the semifinals. Big deal, which is Coach Jackson, whose name's floating around there for some other opportunities. And you must say that he's earned it. Fascinating when you talk about that. I also wanted to talk about any Jada Byers, any updates in terms of what are you hearing in terms of as he's moving towards opportunity, at least in terms of Harlan Hill Awards?
Well, obviously we know it was a mano battle between the 2 candidates from Region 2 in that particular ball game. While and this is hard to say, Jada Byers rushed for a quiet 105 yards in that particular ball game. And the reason I say it was quiet, he got a lot of those yards early. It is somewhere midway through the first quarter into the second quarter. Those Blazers, remember the scouting report, find number three, and they gang tackled number 3. If he happened to spin out of tackle 1, somebody that was there to greet him as soon as he spun clear of tackle 1. So, but Jada Byers did have a good game. Significant note for Jada Byers in that game. During that game, he went over 2,000 yards for the season, which is significant when it comes to the Harlan Hill Award, which is a season award. But for his career, Dr. Cavil, over 6,000 yards. He achieved both those marks against the number 1 defense in the nation. So,
great points. I'm glad, and that's why I wanted to make sure we brought it out there.
Unfortunately, Sammy Edwards played a hell of a game also, and I think, honestly, objectively speaking, if you just look at the mano battle, if that's what the voters were waiting on, I think Sammy Edwards had a slight advantage over Jada Byers. So I'm glad I turned in my vote beforehand. So I was unbiased in that game.
Right. Now, it makes sense. I think the way you lined it up, depending on when people did the votes, but that certainly was key for some people that had a chance to probably kind of wait a little bit. So a great assessment there. Last one we'll do before we take our first break, come back on the other side, is North Carolina Central's Juan Velarde is 2024 recipient of the FedEx Doris Robinson Scholarship Athlete Award. Juan Velarde of North Carolina Central University has made his impact on the field and one of the top kicking specialists in FCS college football. But the senior's commitment to making an impact off the field adds to him making as a student athlete. From advocacy in his Hispanic community to his presence in the local school system around North Carolina Central campus in Durham, Velarde serves as the blueprint to how a student athlete can excel in many ways, as was presented by the MEACsports.com. It's led to Ballard being selected as a 2024 FedEx Doris Robinson Scholarship Athlete Award recipient. So celebrate him in terms of his accolades. With that, let's take our first break. We'll come back on the other side. Without further ado, it's time to do our final mid-major HBCU football selection in terms of the poll ranking, and we'll find out who is this year's mid-major HBCU national champion. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
At AutoMasters LLC, our mission is to serve our community by providing quality automobiles at affordable prices. All of our vehicles are inspected and certified to offer you the confidence in knowing you have a quality vehicle. Our goal is to provide you with a seamless process and positive experience for your automobile purchase. Financing recommendations and specific vehicle inquiries are available at your request. You can find us at www.automasters06.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, please feel free to contact Terrence Miles at 601-927-7794. And oh yeah, tell him Sonia sent you.
Morehouse College and Tuskegee University men's basketball teams were selected to compete in the 2025 NBA HBCU Classic presented by AT&T. The fourth annual NBA HBCU Classic will be played in the Bay Area as part of NBA All-Star 2025 and will once again celebrate the rich traditions, on-court athleticism, and commitment to excellence of the HBCU community. For tickets, visit nba.com/all-star.
HBCU football fans, this year's Cricket Celebration Bowl has a new date. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 14th as the MEAC and SWAC champions meet once again. Join us in Atlanta for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit the Celebration Bowl.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2025? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 31st to February 2nd, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances from the Levert Experience and the Bar Cave. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app. And enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends, honoring talents such as Whitney Houston, Marvin Gaye, and Luther Vandross. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
ESPN Event Band of the Year, a title reserved for the absolute best in the world of HBCU marching bands. A season-long competition that culminates in Atlanta on Friday, December 13th. Drum majors, percussion, drill, auxiliaries, musicality. All aspects will be adjudicated by expert judges in the world of college bands. 4 bands will qualify for the big stage, where national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for ranking updates throughout the season. And join us at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th for event and ticket information.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with the academic professors, sports professors we're gonna call them today. That is Professor Jackson II and Professor Drew. Welcome to the club of academic sports in leisure, if you would. With that being said, let's get into the poll rankings. We know all the teams that were sitting outside, but since this is the last one, we're going to go through it in proper protocol. Nobody dropped out this week, so receiving votes were Shaw Bears. Ended the season at 6-4, 4-3, had a wonderful season. They did make a coaching change, so it'll be interesting to see with all the transfer portals around in FCS programs, maybe coming some of these athletes. Will be interesting to see what they do at the head coaching position. And what does that mean for the Shaw Bears next year in the CIAA? Bringing us to the SIAC, we have Albany State Golden Rams, 6-4, 6-2. For some of them, they had a big win over their rival, but outside of that, they had a little bit of a disappointing season. But they're building down there in Albany State. As Quinn Gray is making his magic work. Be interesting to see what he's able to do next year. Fort Valley State Wildcats, 6-4, 6-2. This is another team that also just lost a coach very recently, as their head coach leaves up and heads to North Carolina A&T State with the Aggies. So be fascinating to see what that means in terms of the mix up there. So let's get into the top 7, the superlative 7, if you would. At number 7, Livingston Blue Bears, 6-4, 4-3, 124 points. Considering all things, they really had a magical season, a very good season with some big-time wins. 4-3 in the conference play as well, 124 points as they end the season at number 7. Giving us to number 6, Winston-Salem State Rams had a little bit of a revival this season as they finished at 7-3 overall, 5-2 in the conference race. Had some big wins themselves, could not quite get over the hump to get to the top 2 spots, but they certainly are on the trajectory moving up this year with 137 points as they finish at number 6. At number 5, we have the Clark Atlanta Panthers. Many people looked at me as I was crazy, and then we got the magic words from the coach himself, rat poison, as they finished 7-3 and won on a magical season, 6-2, that ultimately led them to a SIAC championship game appearance. Could not quite get it done there, but certainly had a season to remember. 140 points, and I would have to say, as long as the coach, as his name is a little bit out there as well, and the quarterback stayed, you'd have to say that Bulls up for the Clark Atlanta Panthers. At number 4, you have Virginia State Trojans, coach with the doctor in front of his name, as Dr. Henry Frazier III finished the season at 7-4. Regular season champions of the CIAA, had the rematch, if you would, against Virginia Union. Couldn't quite get it done in a very well-played game. They end the season at 6-1 in the conference race, 148 points, and they end at number 4. Bringing us to number 3. Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls had a magical season, and really everything was going their way until the last 2 games where things fell short, particularly in that last matchup where they had a chance to control their own destiny. They win the game. They end in the CIAA championship. It was not to be. And think about this. If they win that game, Virginia Union was looking like if they win those 2 would have been out based on what happened in the championship game. We found out when it came down to the last one that Virginia Union did have the tiebreaker, so they were in. And it was about whether Virginia State would win, as they did, and play Virginia Union, or would Johnson C. Smith have that spot. Was not to be, but things and trajectory is up with 153 points, finishing number 3. So this is where it gets interesting. We have a little drama here. I talked about last week, and as we were talking about this poll, whether it will be a flip if you're looking at the scoring margins. We shall see at number 2. Miles Golden Bears continue the 2 spot, 10-3, 8-0. What's interesting here, they actually dropped one first place vote. I was looking to see if they would add some to the mix and maybe find a way to tie with 5 votes, or even find a way maybe to take the lead the way that Virginia Union lost that game. But to their credit, not playing and not making it to the next region, although they had a great season in terms of going undefeated in conference play, getting a victory in the NCAA Division II playoffs. They finish at 190 points in number 2. Bringing us to number 1, which you all know means that Virginia Union Panthers at 10-4, 6-1. They add a first place vote, so very clear margin here. 7 first place votes at 195 points. As they do add their first place vote, they remain at number 1 and ultimately capture the mid-major division football championship in 2024 for HBCU programs. So the Virginia Panthers earn the 2024 HBCU mid-major division football championship. That being said, I want to see what y'all think in terms of this poll ranking, starting with you, Will.
I think, well, I agree with Virginia Union being number one. They played the longest in the tournament, obviously getting to that quarterfinal round. I really just feel like they ran up against a really juggernaut of a Valdosta State team, but it doesn't take away anything of what Dr. Parker did with this Virginia Union team and the work that Jada Byers and company did. So definitely I have them at number one. And then all season, how much did we talk about the fact that we felt like the CIAA was a lot stronger than the SIAC? So Virginia Union being at number one, I'm good with that. I'm good with Miles being at number two. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed in Johnson C. Smith dropping those last two games because I was one of those people that definitely thought that they were probably going to be in that championship game. Those last two losses to Fayetteville State and Livingstone, but I think I have them. They're where they're supposed to be as well. You could argue. I know we had talked about this. I know AD, you wasn't on the call on Sunday, but we're on the show on Sunday. But I know you were saying you were talking about the fact of potentially putting a team that competed in the SIAC championship game, for them getting there, which that does matter. So you could argue that Clark Atlanta could be number 4 and flipping 4 and 5 and putting Virginia State from 4 to 5. But other than that, everybody else in the top 7, Winston-Salem State had a hell of a season. I think they're on an upward trajectory as well as Livingstone, considering everything that was going on.
Great points there. They do have one less loss than Virginia State in terms of the overall record.
Yeah.
But they actually have one additional loss in terms of the conference records. Intriguing, especially when you went the other way with the championship, which I think the voter may have been listening on Sunday if they weren't on the panel included as well. Yeah. I wonder how much that swayed somebody to not only maintain what they thought of Virginia Union, but actually maybe flip what they had in terms of previously with Golden Bears. So great points you make there. 80 Drew, if you would, share your points on the poll rankings, the final one in 2024.
I think you muted, AD.
Can't really argue with the 7 that we have up on the screen. The argument comes in 1 and 2, no question. 3, 4, 5. How do you order 3, 4, and 5? Clark Atlanta with the FCS victory, the NAIA tie.
Yep.
How do you weigh those two in with the other 2 losses that Clark Atlanta had? And then you added the factor that they went to the championship game. Now, they got soundly beat in the championship game, which you also have to factor that in. Yeah. The last time that I saw them, Virginia State beat our national champion, but also lost to our national champion.
Yeah.
They also had a couple other losses there that were head scratchers. And then you had Johnson C, who just collapsed at the end. Because of the collapse at the end.
Great point.
It's hard to keep Johnson C in that 3 spot.
That's right.
Although, they were number 1 for 5-6 weeks of our poll, Dr. Cavil, probably even longer.
Like 7 or 8 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, I lost track. But and there's really no right or no wrong. These are just different things that go into how you vote. But if you want to just go by the final finish, C has to be 5, and then I'll let y'all figure out Virginia State or Clark Atlanta for the number 3.
I like that, AD Drew. I think those are excellent points, and both of y'all made some very valid points, poll rankings. But with that being said, this year, where it really matters is who's number 1, and that happens to be the Virginia Union Panthers that earned the 2024 HBCU Mid-Major Division Football Championship. Neither of you had argued like that, so I'm extremely happy. That being said, let's go to our next break. We'll come back on the other side. A great opportunity to interview Dr. Coach Parker in regards to being awarded Dr. Ville's 2024 HBCU Mid-Major Division Championship. Well, let's get into it. We got to hear.
HBCU football fans, a champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 14th. MEAC champions, SWAC champions, the Cricket Celebration Bowl, crowning an HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2025? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 31st to February 2nd, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances from the Levert Experience and the Bar Cave. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app. And enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends, honoring talents such as Whitney Houston, Marvin Gaye, and Luther Vandross. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
ESPN Band of the Year returns to Atlanta on December 13th. 4 marching bands will qualify for the big stage, where 2 national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for rankings updates throughout the season. And join us at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th for event and ticket information.
Tickets are on sale now for the 4th annual NBA HBCU Classic presented by AT&T, featuring Morehouse College and Tuskegee University. Don't miss this action-packed event happening at NBA All-Star 2025 and filled with competitive matchup and marching band performances celebrating HBCU pride. See you in the Bay.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I have none other than the CIAA Football Championship game winner, NCAA Division II quarterfinalist, and 2024 HBCU Mid-Major Division Football Championships as presented by Dr. Cavil, head coach of the Virginia Union University Panthers out of the CIAA, Coach Dr. Alvin Parker. Congratulations. How you doing today?
Thank you, man. Glad to be. I was game planning tonight, but I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we certainly understand that. But all things considered, this was a magical season, and I can still see that still a little sore about how things ended up on Saturday. But if you would take a little picture back and let's talk about this magical season, this run. I know there was a lot of expectations that you told everybody in the CIAA media day that this was not a surprise to you. In fact, you felt that ultimately you had a championship team, and obviously you've won championships at multiple levels, but you were speaking at the NCAA level, and that came to fruition about making it to the regional final, if you would, meaning that you were quarterfinals, one of the final 16 teams. You had 2 African-American black coaches that AD Drew shared us in terms of that quarterfinals, which is a statement itself for in that region. So significant strides were made into this. So if you would talk a little bit about what all that means, if you allow us to kind of go inside the emotions that take place when you are on that ride all season long.
And it was one heck of a ride. Definitely, one for the ages, one for the history books. So I'm extremely proud of my group. And they overachieved. I think we did a lot of things that I think nobody thought we could do, and to be playing in the Elite Eight, of NCAA Division II, was one of those things. Of course, I knew kind of heading to the season we had a special group, and I think when we dropped a couple along the way, it probably became a different thought to some others. But to starting you guys pole as number one, and then the finishing you guys pole as number one, um, says a lot. And we're happy about that. And that's something that's going to kind of help us in the future. It's going to help us in recruiting. It's going to do a lot for the program. Again, we reached a bunch of heights that a lot of people, again, didn't thought we can do. And my group just kind of lived up to it every week. Got to the playoffs, had an excellent run, played a lot of good ball. We hit the switch on, it seems like, at the right time. And again, I'm just happy about that.
Let me ask one more before I allow my fellow host to ask some questions as well. How long do you get a chance to take a break, maybe celebrate a little bit about this before it sounds like you're already kind of prepping and thinking about what it will take to make a run next year, I should say, and actually maybe at the end of the season hold up a NCAA Division II national championship?
I mean, the work never stops. I think to kind of be to play all the way into December, and then you turn around and when anybody that has a program starts it right back in January. Most of those people probably ended at the end of October, beginning of November, and started kind of planning. And we just took a little bit while longer to kind of get it done because we were playing. So that's been the best recruiting tool for us to still be playing. Anytime people can flip on ESPN and see your ball club out there, they want to be a part of that. So that's been one of the bigger things that has helped us in recruiting. But it's been a long season. We started this thing the end of July, beginning of August, and ran it all the way to the beginning of December. So anytime you put it together like that, guys probably get a little tired. So it's gonna be my job as the leader to kind of find that fine line and make sure everybody kind of gets a little bit of rest, but also everybody kind of keep their eye on what can happen in 2025.
Certainly. Well, then, if you would go ahead.
Dr. Parker, congratulations on the season again. You're no stranger to success. Obviously, back-to-back 10-win seasons. You just kind of mentioned that, there were some times where throughout the season you dropped a few. What kept you grounded? And how were you able to keep your players grounded through those times to still know that they could, compete for a title and obviously make this tournament run? And what did you learn about that process of where you guys were able to get this year?
I think once you make a mission, you got to stick to it, and the vision gets you there. I think everybody saw what the vision was, the staff, the players, and not only them, but the university as a whole, saw the vision and they believed in my vision, and nobody ever kind of took their eyes off of that. So when you get to this type of point, and you get an opportunity to play in the championship and win that, and then you get an opportunity to go to the playoffs and you win a couple games there, it's easy to buy in the vision, so I think, again, we just hit a stride at the right time, and nobody stopped believing. Nobody stopped believing. I think early on, people just don't know how hard it is to repeat. And I think that was a challenge, coming into the season, we were in heavyweight fights every game. I think everybody brought their best because I think it put a feather in everybody's cap to beat the champs. So we saw everybody's best. So my kids had to play over their best. My coaches had to coach over their best. And I think they did that. They rose to the occasion, and you saw it with the end results.
And one quick follow up. You can't say enough. I think we probably all run out of superlatives for Jada Byers. Obviously, you didn't get the win that you wanted to get. But what was your message to him after that game on Saturday?
I think you use everything to build off of. Again, getting this far in the playoffs, we played a great Valdosta team. I think they were a great team, capable of winning the national championship. They had a lot of good things kind of going on. And hats off to Coach Jackson. He had his ball club ready to go, and they played like it. So hats off to them. But I think it's like I said before, in the years past, it was a learning lesson. When we got to those other rounds of the playoffs in the previous years, we didn't necessarily, kind of come to play, I think, in terms of putting our best foot forward. I think this year, they did that. Now they see, how far they can get, and they want more. So now kind of navigate this thing in a recruiting fashion. You got to coach this thing every day because we got this thing called the transfer portal that it has taken not just the Division One landscape, but it's also taking over the Division Two landscape. Where you got a bunch of good guys that you got to find ways to hold on to them. Because you could be coaching almost a new ball club next year. So that's kind of our task right now to make sure we handle this monster called the transfer portal and kind of see how we can put this thing together. In order to make another run.
80.
Great to see you once again, Dr. Parker. You got a smile on your face today. You just had a grin on your face when I saw you on Saturday, as you was trying to hold back the emotions of a tough defeat there on Saturday. But I want to ask you to reflect on the season, but I want to kind of spin it in a little bit of a different way. This year, due to the calendar, there was an extra Saturday, which allowed Division II teams to have a bye week built into their schedules. How beneficial do you think that was for you in the grand scheme of things, considering where you wound up finishing the season at? And then I want you to spin that forward into next year, where they're allowing Division II teams to actually begin week 0. So if their schedules are done right, they could possibly get a second bye in there for this 1 year. Just kind of talk about that and how that affected your team instead of having to go what would have been 14 consecutive weeks if you wouldn't have had that bye this week.
I think it's definitely a positive if you can do it right. The week 0 is a positive also because it gives some of our smaller schools different revenue opportunities. So being able to kind of take advantage of that because I don't think anybody on the Division II landscape can say they don't need money or they don't need the the extra operational funds that week 0 can bring to you in the form of classics or even guaranteed type of games. So that's something that's definitely beneficial. And in terms of the bye week, I think more so my wife and kids might have benefited from them. They might have benefited from it a little bit more because I got to get that weekend and kind of do some things with them in the middle of the season, which has never happened. With us kind of going from, like I say, the end of July all the way to December, sometime that aspect kind of gets lost where your family got to be on the ride too. And, I was able to kind of do some things on that bye week that probably I wouldn't have been able to have gotten done during the season. So that was one beneficial to it, just the life and balance type of, portion of it. But in terms of the players and everything else, I think if we could find a way to maybe get us closer to the middle, I think, that'll help a little bit more. We had our bye at the beginning of the season, coming off of a Division I game. So, we were kind of licking wounds and trying to figure some stuff out. So I don't know how much it helped in that aspect, but definitely needed if you're gonna make a run like we did.
All right. And a quick follow up to that. Next year you will be switching to Super Region 1. For so long, all CIAA has known is Super Region 2. SAC, Gulf South, SIAC as potential not only regular season region opponents, but playoff opponents. How do you expect to switch to Region 1? We know it's going to affect the schedule, but how do you really expect it to affect your program? Because now you may have to, is that going to affect your recruiting? Because you're going to have to play teams in a different part of the country. So you can't say, hey, you're gonna be playing this team out of Georgia or out of one of those other places where you may have been able to have a crossover matchup that was in Super Region 2. How is that going to affect you in the next couple of years, switching to Super Region 1?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that, AD, because it definitely matters. In terms of the way you build your team. I think playing in Super Region 1 is kind of like preparing yourself to kind of go through maybe like Big Ten football, and preparing yourself to go to Super Region 2 is kind of like playing yourself to be in SEC football. So it definitely, lends to how you build your team. But we've had the privilege of, last year being placed in Super Region One, and we kind of got a glimpse of how things go there. And this year, kind of being back in Super Region Two for the playoffs, we've seen what it took. So the last 2 years, it kind of gave us a great example of kind of how we need to build a team. But you build your team according to that. That's my thoughts. You know, and that kind of lends to when you get to the playoffs, what type of team you have. Again, Super Region One does it a little bit different. Super Region Two does it a little bit different, but no matter what, both of them play great brands of football, and we got to be kind of ready for whichever. But in terms of the scheduling, you know, uh, you know, we still kind of use some of the Super Region Two model because we scheduled out a little bit. So we'll see how it goes. But I think more often than not, we got to make sure we're able to compete in the CIAA next year first. You know, um, before we even get to that point. Because our league is tough, and a lot of people are playing some good ball, and a lot of coaches are stepping it up, and a lot of schools are stepping it up with different levels of commitment that gonna make that extremely tough to go through. So, but just like I kind of said last year, at this point, we're up for the challenge. Wherever we go, whatever we do, we got to be ready to play some football.
Quick question. Will we do some of those HBCU matchups that we've seen between the CIAA and SIAC because of this switch now, because those aren't region games anymore?
It's a possibility. I hope not, though. I like the brand that we could bring to the fans and alumni base and things like that. When you get two HBCUs on the field at one time, I still like that. I'm an HBCU product, so I think it's extremely important. And a lot of times when the national people kind of get their hands on it, that's not something that they necessarily factor in. But I think our administration kind of see it as important. If you are of HBCU as being important, classics and the natural built-in rivalries and things like that just beneficial to everybody. So those can't go away. So hopefully we find ways to kind of keep hopefully us find ways to keep those things around and kind of stay what's important to us. And not necessarily if you win, if you feel the way you, but not to lose some of those things that are so important to all stakeholders involved.
All right, Coach Parker, getting a little breakup, but I wanted to ask you like one final question before we let you go, if we can get it in. If not, we certainly understand. There was talk a little bit about that there may be like automatic invitation, if you would, to the Black College Hall of Fame game that opens up the season in week 0, where it would take the champions of the CIAA versus the champions of the SIC. We'd have loved to see that matchup in the quarterfinals. It's not to be, but if that is still the case, we will see it to open up the season with two teams that are expected to have another solid team and go for, if nothing else, a repeat in terms of the respective conference championships. Have you heard that is the case, or are you still waiting to hear clarification on that?
Everything is kind of leading that way. It was kind of put out there at the beginning of the season in terms of kind of just, for everybody kind of preparing scheduling how that will go. I think it's an awesome idea. I think it's something that champions definitely deserve to have. To be placed in that, to be put on the national stage. That game is a big deal. We played in it a year ago, and I thought it was an amazing, well put together game. To be on a Sunday on the NFL Network, where you're able to see two top level HBCU Division II programs, it's unmatched. It's not something that's local or regional, not even national. That's something that's worldwide. So for two HBCUs on a smaller level to kind of be able to show their brands on a national stage like that, it's something that's amazing. And I think the CIAA and the SIAC are going to put that together. I definitely hope it happens because, again, it's beneficial for everybody that's involved.
With the head coach, it's the 2024 HBCU Mid-Major Division Football Championship. Hopefully, they certainly take here to what your considerations are. And I agree with you. That's why I wanted to bring it up to see if they're up there. I thought it was a tremendous idea, certainly a great reward as both conferences are squarely focused about the playoffs in terms of the champions, the way to fall out, but it's still a way to award teams, even though it's the following year, in terms of having great seasons. It gives the rest of the team something to chase after in regards to what they want to culminate in terms of the upcoming season. So I see a lot of superlatives and positive. With that being said, again, want to say congratulations, Coach Dr. Alvin Parker, in terms of a wonderful season. Congratulations to your university administrators, obviously your athletic administrators, your coaching staff, and more importantly, your players. But in terms of you receiving the recognition of what you were able to bring everybody together to make this magical run and ultimately leading to Dr. Cavil's 2024 HBCU Mid-Major Division Football Championship, the Virginia Union Panthers. Congratulations, Coach.
Congratulations.
I appreciate you guys, for having me on all season and support and you guys kind of, doing the spotlight. Definitely appreciate you being there on Saturday, AD. Again, you guys are doing a great job. Keep doing what you're doing.
No doubt. We look forward to it and look forward to hearing you more. And that's what we plan to do. With that being said, we'll take our last break, come back on the other side, kind of put a button on this, and then we'll look for Thursday as we continue to give you updates to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2025? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 31st to February 2nd, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances from the Levert Experience and the Bar Cave. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app. And enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends, honoring talents such as Whitney Houston, Marvin Gaye, and Luther Vandross. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
HBCU football fans, this year's Cricket Celebration Bowl has a new date. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 14th as the MEAC and SWAC champions meet once again. Join us in Atlanta for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
We can press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Great show, great information. I want to do a pivot. As I said, we're going to get in a little bit and put a lot of focus, but we'll do that on Thursday. It's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. A lot of the team, again, I said I'm coming Friday, but the rest of the team will be there Thursday. So you'll have a live show from Top Draft right there in the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia, as everybody ascends on Atlanta for the Cricket Celebration Bowl 2024, which will feature the number one Jackson State Tigers that are 11-2, 8-0 out of the poll rankings that were released this week. Jackson State Tigers are also number 15 on the national rankings of the AFCA FCS coaches poll. They will face South Carolina State Bulldogs that come in with a record of 9-2, 5-0. As the Bulldogs are ranked number 18 in the AFCA FCS coaches poll rankings, as we have them as number 2. So you have 1 versus 2, and Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU sports ranking. Just about anybody that does a poll ranking for HBCU programs has these 2 teams at the top of their poll. Many of them 1 and 2. They may have them flipped. You see in terms of the FCS national poll, they have the teams top 20. Specifically for the AFCA, you have 15 versus 18 in terms of the national poll ranking. So exciting to see that. Tomorrow we will have the ONG strike zone. Look forward to the Indy report. Got some things to talk about. Tennessee State, North Carolina A&T, as they had their coaching announcement. Some of that stuff might come up in the show, so look forward to having that. And we also on Thursday just told you that we will be at Top Draft. So come on by, check out the guys in the studio. You can catch up with them before the show. That certainly will give you some updates and their thoughts on things. And for those that want to see it live, get some beverages and food, you're welcome to that. Check it out. And then they'll talk with you afterwards as well. Make sure you hold them tight. I will be on this side, so I have to kind of watch from afar, make sure they do what's necessary.
I need to make sure everybody turn in their papers. I like my paper frosted, 12 ounce frosted. So make sure you turn in your papers and turn them in on time.
Exactly. It is final exam week, so I relax. All exams are in, grades are in. So at this point, graduation is coming up. It's time to celebrate. So with my graduate students, we certainly have a chance to celebrate a little different than you do with your undergraduate students. I tell my graduate students and my undergraduate students, once they graduate and become graduate students, then they can formally call me by my first name. But before then, I have the power of the pen, so watch out. And some of them say, well, I'm going to grad school. And I said, you might want to wait a little while for that. They get a chuckle out of that. But Wilton Jackson, second, thank you for your superb reporting, what you've been able to continue and what you do from your perspective is extremely important. And the fact that you share time for us to make sure that we get some of that is extremely welcome. AD Drew, always much love and support in terms of what you're doing on the SID side and what you've done for Black College Sports Network. Roy, back in the background, we appreciate you. There's some other things that we'll be talking about where we'll be doing some updates this weekend and moving forward. So keep up with these live shows. Obviously, Saturday, we'll look at what Carlos Brown will do. He will be in Atlanta, so we'll see how he wants to proceed with that. As obviously the game kind of throws that off a little bit. So we'll see. Make sure he give you an update. AD Drew, before we close, you want to add something?
Take a point of special privilege. Congratulations to former Florida A&M head ball coach Willie Simmons, who got the head job at Florida International, reportedly $750 large ones, 4-year contract, $750 per year. We'll talk about it come up. Everybody Everybody looked at him crazy when he decided to go be the running back coach at Duke last year. But that 1 year sacrifice, even though it was an increase in pay, looks like it worth it. And for Willie to get a job back in the state of Florida, in a hotbed where he has recruited very well in the Miami area, I'm looking forward to, covering Willie from the outside now instead of covering him from the inside like I had before. And Willie was only one of we had like 4 former coaches who got jobs, got some significant jobs over the weekend. But I have to shout out Willie Simmons, formerly who did my own.
Certainly, great point of privilege. Recognize that and appreciate that information. And want to give a shout out. Myself, Coach Willie Simmons, got a chance to really understand a different side of football from Coach Willie Simmons his time at Prairie. So a lot of respect, a lot of appreciation. I'm going to talk about him, though. He hasn't returned my call yet. I know he's busy, but, I'm going to tell you like, so now you too big for you folks now. We're going to let him know a little bit about that. After, quote, unquote, we built you, now you want to show me no love? This kid, he will certainly understand.
You told him up, Dr. Cavil. Make sure you get that right.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. We kid because we care, and he certainly want to understand. Much respect for all those that are getting a chance to continue to provide uplifts. Many of them continue to talk positive about HBCUs in one form or fashion. So I'm appreciative of that. And it gives those HBCU, even if they're life, an opportunity to think about how they can continue to move things forward, whether that is continue with HBCUs or on moving from Division II to FCS or FCS to FBS. With that being said, I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports, not with Mike Washington or Charles Bishop, but with Jackson II and AD Drew. Appreciate them for coming in here and providing some little adjunct work as professors in the building. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Optimus Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock. Thursday again, we will be live at Top Draft in Atlanta in the Omni. So check that out. Sunday at 9 a.m., we'll give our final Sunday report and give our major division champion. Ultimately, it looks like whoever comes out, obviously, and wins the game on Saturday will have that. But we'll take our votes and do it officially. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Facebook and Instagram. That's DrKenyattacavil. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Facebook and YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Wilton.
Of course.
AD.
Lecture.
Dismiss.